Hi everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our photo series. Yes, up today we're absolutely going to start sorting some photos and start this process. And I'm going to show you a little bit of how I do my workflow when it comes to sorting photos and getting things ready right before you start working on a layout. Very, very fun. And a couple things I've learned over the years when it comes to sorting photos, and I made the process go much quicker for me and not lose any photos. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of talking today, and I have a group of stack of photos here because what we're going to do in this segment is talk about basically like everyday photos, meaning I just printed say I just printed a month worth of photos. How do I work through that month of photos? Because I got asked many questions of, not just how to do a trip, which that'll be coming up, but how do I sit down and sort everyday photos, okay? So we're going to pretend that this group of photos came from March 2019, okay? So that's what we're going to pretend for this segment because it's just easier than for me trying to remember the dates. I'll rework that when I'm done filming. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is just our everyday photos, and then in another video, because this may get a little chatty, is that we're going to talk about what you do when it comes to something of this nature, this beast here, when you have a trip. We're going to talk about that, and then another video will probably be with leftovers, odd-shaped photos, yes, all that. Okay, so let's just talk about today, and I want to give a short version because I get chatty, my videos get long, not everybody likes that. So basically for sorting photos, grab yourself a photo box, best thing in the world, very affordable, and then grab yourself a stack of envelopes or index cards or dividers and separate them and call it good. Okay, that's basically how you can do it. But I'm going to show you my process, but I just wanted to give this short version. That's all we're going to be working with today is a photo box, and we're going to work with envelopes because I'm going to show you why this didn't work and why this didn't work in my process and my workflow. So let's get cracking here. Okay, so if what we're going to do is we are going to start and establish a RTS box. Now, an RTS box stands for Ready to Scrap, and that has nothing to do with my channel. It's just that's what it's been called for years, is a Ready to Scrap box, okay? And then over the years, I just now call mine Scrap. And so basically, I have this labeled, and this is the layouts that, or this is the box that I know to grab when I'm ready to start scrapbooking, or I'm going to start planning some pages, planning a kit, that type of thing. I know which box to go to. Now, for right now, I only have one scrap box, okay, my Ready to Scrap box, okay, we're just going to pretend it's this one here, because I work from this box, so I never really have more than this printed ready to go for layouts. Now, I have many other photo boxes, but I mean my Ready to Scrap box, the ones that I know are going to land on a layout and they're basically grouped together, I only have one of these box, and I suggest only having one of these box unless you're blessed to have a ton of photos printed. Okay, now this is really not, this is basically like for every day, okay? Now I do have a Ready to Scrap box for Disney and things like that, but those are trips, that's not every day. So we'll talk about that in the next video. Okay, so this is just everyday photos, okay? Just everyday layouts, everyday life, okay? So what I suggest is you label it. I label mine with washi because I don't like my writing. If I don't like it, I can just peel it up, start all over, and then when you're labeling your Ready to Scrap box or your RTS box or your scrap box, or you can put Ready to Go, whatever you want to call it, this is the box you're going to reach for when you want to access your photos quickly to get starting on your pages. So I label mine on the side because that's how I see them on my surface. I see them on the side, but you could label it in the front or all sides, whatever you want to do. I just label one side, and it's the side I see. Now, once we get going on a little bit more about sorting photos, because we may have 4 segments in this little category of sorting photos, I will show you how I have a little guide to tell me what is in my boxes, but that'll be down the road. Okay, so let's get cracking. Okay, so I might break this up a little bit because I'm waiting for a phone call, and life happens, you know how that goes. Okay, so that's why I had my washi here, and I just used my slick writers to label my photo boxes. I don't write directly on my photo boxes because every so often I change them around. I get some new ones, you know how that is. Okay, so let's get cracking as to why we need a Ready to Scrap box. And the reason is really simply is that you want to have this ready to go and so that you just reach for this one box when you're ready to scrapbook, okay? It just makes the process simpler, because when you're in the mood to scrapbook, you won't want to get lost and stuck. Raise your hand if that's happened to you in the past. You wasted an hour sitting on the floor looking at photos, then someone else comes in your room, you spend another hour looking at photos. Nothing wrong with that, but when you're in the mood to scrapbook, you want to grab and go, and so that's what, you can even call this grab and go. Absolutely. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to again pretend that these were from March 2019, and this is all printed. And what are we going to do? Okay, so over the years, as I've worked in my scrap box, my ready to scrap, my ready to go box, is that I've had these, you know, I just lost a pile of notes here. What was I saying there? See, I already got sidetracked. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. So as I have these in my box, okay, I've had these organized different ways through the years, okay? Before, at one time, I would just have my photos here, and I would have a 4x6 card, and I would tell myself, okay, this was Christmas 2019. I'm just making up dates here. And then I would stick them in here, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, keep on going, okay? And I ran into a problem. The problem is that I didn't know where something stopped and where something started. And then my biggest problem was this right here. Wallets. Okay, wallets was always getting lost. Sometimes they would get and they get moved underneath another pile. Yes, so that is how I print. Is that I print basically 4x6 in wallets. Okay, I print my favorites in 4x6, and then all my supporting photos are in wallets. I've just made that process simpler for me. And so then I didn't know where something started. I didn't know where something ended. I would have to do this. Sorry, I need to get a drink already. Great gravy. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so and then I would have to leaf through here. Where did something start? Where did something end? Yada yada. Got tired of it. So then I got smart and I thought, oh, what I would do is I would make labels for my index cards. Okay, that worked for a couple years. Well, I got tired of making little tabs for my index cards, and so I thought, okay, this isn't working. And you really can't use the dividers that come with a photo box, because you only get what, 6 or 7? Well, that's only 6 pages for me. This isn't going to work. Okay, and I did not want to make my own divided shaped labels, you know, dividers. I didn't want to do that. So I thought, well, I got to come up with a system here. So I might have to stop here for a minute and take a drink again. Wow. Okay. So, so sorry. Let me come right back. Okay. So I just knew that these 4x6 cards was not going to work. And I got tired of doing the tabs. So I thought I need to come up with something. So what I came up with is that I thought I need to create a pocket. Okay. So I honestly went and looked to buy this type of pocket somewhere. You know, how can I buy these type of pockets? And I thought, no, wait a minute. The crafter in us, we have to come up with something quick. So all I simply do now is that I use envelopes. These letter size envelopes, that's what I use because I get them cheap. I use them for my home anyways. I already buy them in bulk. So I already have an abundance of them. So one day I thought, oh yes, this will solve my problems, okay? So I am very, very happy with these envelopes, and this is what I use to sort my photos. Okay, so the reason why I do that is because, and I'm just going to talk about that right now. So when I make these pockets, all you simply do is put the flap inside your envelope, okay? And we're going to pretend we're putting photos in here, okay? Okay, so there's my photos. I fold this over because, again, I print mainly in 4x6 and wallets. So now my wallets will not get lost. Okay, I now have a pocket I can grab and go. All my photos that I need for that layout or that story is in here. And now I have plenty of room to write what I need. Okay, and we're going to talk about that coming up. So this has just absolutely been a game changer for me when it came to sorting photos. This is cheap, but then it just didn't work for me. I did not want to go through the habit all the time of making tabs because there would be times I would sit and I would do 100 tabs of these tab dividers at one time. I get tired of that. In fact, I still have a stack of them somewhere, but I just got tired of that, and this is easier for me, especially if you're putting photos into a kit, you know, you're traveling, or you just want to grab, you know, 6 pockets at a time. This has just been a game changer for me, okay? But, you know, there still is a purpose for these, and I'll talk about that. Okay, I really just don't even keep these. I'll just be honest. Okay, so let's get cracking here about how I sort. And again, we're going to pretend these are just from March 2019 because I can't remember the dates on all of this. Okay, so I printed a fresh stack of photos. Now, let me just say here, when I print photos, I put, well, not in that one. I put the date on the back of either all of them or one of the photos. So then when I go to do this process, I know when this date is. I'm going to pretend it's March 2019 for the video, but when I do this, because there might be a couple days, like I might print on Thursday and I don't do this till Sunday. So that way when I'm creating up my pockets, I just flip it over. Okay, this was March 2017. Okay. So as I print, I put the date on the back of my photos. That's just something I had to get into. It was just something I forced myself to do because I do not like looking up the dates of photos. Okay. So I do date my photos as I print. I don't date them now. I dated them when I printed them. So that makes this process a little easier. Okay, so when I'm looking at this group of photos, I say to myself, okay, this is Selfies, okay? And that's how I print my wallets. I print 2 on 1 4x6 format. Okay. So then what I would do is then I would come here and I would write, okay? And I would write my little girl's name. I won't do that because I try not to include names, you know, in my videos. So I would just put her name here and then I would just put Selfies, okay? And then I would put March 2019, okay? And that's all I simply do, and I put them in this pocket. I mean, talk about affordable and effective. That's an envelope, yes, okay? And so then I'm ready to go. Now, as the month happens, okay, because maybe this was just for a week, okay? I just printed a week of photos. As the month happens, I will keep adding to this pocket as I print photos, okay? So we're just going to leave that there for a minute. We're going to keep on going. Okay, well, now we have IKEA, okay? So this is basically how I print my photos, is that I print my favorites in 4x6. Any supporting is in a wallet. And then, let me see if I had some wallets. See, I just print in wallets, okay? And then sometimes I will print, I mean, you went to IKEA, you had to try the Swedish meatballs. Sometimes I will print in a 4x6 and a wallet because when I'm there, it's one and done, okay? I don't know which one I'm going to use. So let me talk about that just for a minute because as I'm, when I print photos, do I sit there and do I plan layouts out at the time? No, I do not, okay? I just maybe have a general idea, and then I would maybe print with that idea in mind. But as I'm printing, I don't do the planning. My planning happens when I'm doing my sorting, if that makes sense. So when I'm in the printing mode, I'm just printing, okay? And of course, dating the photo. But then when I come to this process and I'm sorting, you see how this is all a workflow? You see why photos is such a big topic? This is why. Okay, so then as I'm sorting, this is when I'm doing a little bit of my planning. Okay, so now for this was a trip, but it was just a day trip, okay? So what I did was I put every one of these IKEA photos, so whether it was wallet, okay, or 4x6, I put these all in one pocket, okay? Because if I wanted to sit here and say, oh, well, this is when we saw the bedrooms, or this is when we saw the kitchens, or this is what we bought, or this is what we ate, I don't have the energy for that right now. You certainly can do that. So then what you would simply do is, I'm so sorry, I have allergies. You would simply just plan how many layouts you have for that event or that trip or that day, and then you could divide them out into your pockets. You already have the date. You put the date on each one, what your plan is, and you could even label it 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4. You could simply do it that way. But for me, this was just a day trip. I didn't really have any special layout in mind. You know, it's just documenting the trip, okay? So I would come here and I would put, and I write on my envelopes before my photos are in because, you know, your pen can make an impression on your photos. So I just put IKEA, okay? And we're going to put 2019, and I'm going to put spring break because that's what we did, okay? Again, these dates are all wrong, okay? Okay, and so then I would put these in. And then when I go and I'm in the mood to do this, then I would pick out the photos I want for that layout. But again, there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. Just putting, now this was just a day trip, so I don't need this was just that IKEA for that day. I don't need to have this all separated and figured out, well, I'm doing this and doing that, because right now I really don't have any direction. Okay, so that's just my IKEA pocket. I mean, how great is that? Okay, now I have already been working from this IKEA group, and so all I did was pull this out and then pull the photos I want, and then it goes back in my box, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. I mean, how fun is that? Okay, but then if you wanted to, I could have had 4 pockets. Okay, one of the trip down, the trip back, what we ate. You go ahead and separate them out, and again, label them 1 of 2, 2 of 2, 3 of, or 1 of 2, 2 of 2, 1 of 4, you know, and just go ahead and then just put them in order, okay, of your pockets. Hope that made sense. Okay, what do we have? Oh, we have another trip. Oh, I'm telling you, trips is what is my hang up. That's where I just halt. In printing and in sorting and in scrapbooking, trips is a, you know, but it's life, you know. Going on trips is a blessing, but I'm telling you what, when it comes to scrapbooking and documenting trips, it really can slow your workflow. Okay, so again, with this trip, this was a Wilmington trip. So again, I created pockets. Now, this was just basically IKEA for the day, okay? This was a week. So when I printed my Wilmington, I separated them out. Okay, this was when I went sightseeing. This is what I went shopping. This was at the hotel, yada, yada, yada. I've already scrapped all of them. So I kept them all in individual pockets, which was exact opposite of this IKEA, okay? So I would put Wilmington, and I would put the drive down, Wilmington sightseeing, Wilmington shopping, yada, yada, okay? And I would just put on here the date, okay? Making my pocket, Wilmington, okay, and I'm just going to put 3/2019, and then these are photos from the actual drive, okay, driving down, driving back, and this will probably be a, you know, a couple pages, maybe a 4-page spread, it all depends, okay, and then this is the last group of this, okay. So I'll just stick these in that pocket, okay? And you can write on this side or that side, whatever you want to do. And I just put my 4x6 photos in there, or wallets, or whatever you have. And I fold that over. It doesn't have to be exact. This is just for us. It's not going into a magazine, okay? And so that's ready to go. But of this trip, I think I had 6 or 7 pockets. And I did it at the time when I sorted, okay? So you can do it both ways. You could put all of your trip in one pocket. And then as you sit to scrap, just pull from that pocket, or you can plan ahead. No wrong way. Depends on wherever your brain is for the day. Absolutely. Okay. But for this actual Wilmington trip, this is the last pocket I had to play with. And so I just pulled it out for filming. Okay. Now let's talk about these pockets for a minute, because I'm going to talk about something. And so some people would say, well, this isn't being very frugal using an envelope for every one of these pockets. But here's the thing. You can absolutely use this pocket 4 times, okay? I don't. When I'm done with this, I just throw it away, okay? But you can absolutely reuse this 4 times, meaning when I'm done with this Wilmington drive, okay, I can just simply put an X, okay, over this, and then I can come and put a different group of photos in, okay? Slide this down, and then I can write on this side. I mean, so there's my new pocket, okay? But then I'm done with those photos. So what can you do? You can absolutely use this pocket again. You flip it over, okay? Put your photos in, okay? And they'll peek out just a tad, okay? And then you can write it on this side and then again reverse. So you can use this pocket 4 times if you choose to be really super frugal, okay? But again, we buy these in bulk. I have them, you know, everybody has envelopes, but you don't just have to use it once and be done. You can absolutely stretch these pockets and use them 4 times. Now that's frugal. That's freaking frugal. Yes, it is, okay? So I wanted to show that because I don't want people to think, well, you can just use that pocket 1 time. That is such a waste. But a lot of times, you know, we would use these index cards. Sometimes we would use them once, or sometimes we would flip them over. It depends on what you want to do, okay? I just use them 1 time, and you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so that is... Okay, that's another pocket. More talking. Okay, so that is basically how I do this, and then I put them in a photo box, call it good. The box is called Ready to Go, Ready to Scrap, or just Scrap, and that is how that That's just sorting everyday photos. Now, I probably will stop here just for a minute, but if you want to be done with the video, that's completely fine. That's the short version, but we're going to talk about more different grouping of photos because I got asked different questions. So if you want to hang on, keep on watching. If not, the next video we will do will just be talking about how do you conquer and start sorting for a big trip. We'll talk about that. It's the same process, just a little bit more work, okay? So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's keep on working on our group of photos, okay? So let's say when it comes to holidays, okay? So these are Christmas, but we're going to pretend they're Easter because that's the season we're in. Okay, so you simply, what you can do is make a pocket, of course, okay? And you can just put Easter 2019, okay? And then you just have one pocket for that one holiday, okay? But again, what can you do? Okay, these are Christmas, but we're just pretending here, okay? You put them in that pocket, and so then when you go to scrap, okay, and that's all I did was put them in, I put that flap in, put those photos in, and then I just used the edge of those photos and to fold that over. Easy peasy. I mean, game changer. An envelope, do it a thunk. Okay, so then as it comes, you can separate. Say if Easter is a big holiday for you. You know, when you have kids, sometimes Easter can stretch into a couple weeks, okay? But you know, when your kids get older, you really don't have as much. So you could definitely take your holiday photos, put them in one pocket, just call it Easter or Christmas or St. Patty's Day or Valentine's Day, and just create one pocket, put the date on, call it done. Or if you wanted to, again, get 4 pockets, 3 pockets, 6 pockets, whatever it is. This is the egg hunt. This is the Easter dinner. This is the brunch. This was looking at trees. Whatever, whatever it was for Easter, you could go ahead and separate that out. Put on what the event is, or if you even have a title idea, you can put that on. Put the date. You have to have the date because you will not remember. Okay, even though I have the date on the back of my photos, I always have a date on my pocket. Always, always, always. Okay, so that's how you could do holidays. You could put it all in one pocket, call it good, or separate it out. Okay, so now here we go. So then I have 3 photos here. This is my dad had sent me. And you see how we're creating a pile here. Okay, we're going to talk about this box coming up. Okay, we're just taking our time and talking about, you know, answering some questions. So again, I will make a pocket, fold that flap in. Okay. And then I write on my envelope, I think I said that before I put my photos in. And so I'm absolutely going to, this is going to be a layout for me, okay? So it's just going to be put dad, and I always put outdoor. That's basically what I label all of his, okay? And I'm putting March 2019, even though that is the wrong date, okay? And so then I will put these in here. Now, if they're, let's talk about something else. Say I'm working on this, and I know that my dad recently, he sent me a new photo, or he sent me a corresponding photo, or, you know, he gave me some notes, okay? So what I would do is I would put here, note, okay? Notes. Look at email, okay? Because a lot of times my dad will email me what these photos are. So I will say, note, look at email. Or I could put in here, reprint in a 5x7. Whatever your note is for that layout, put that there. Or you can say, oh, I have memorabilia, okay? Memorabilia, okay? Okay, so what I'm saying is these pockets is also your planning little session of your layout. So there I have what it is, the date, I want to reprint, I have some notes, I have some memorabilia, whatever it is, okay? And then you stick those in, okay? We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll pull out the box, okay? Fold that flap over, and there is our pocket. There's our progress or process. Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about creating pockets that's like a revolving door, okay? What do I mean by that? And this is just something that has helped me sort photos over the years, so I want to cover this, okay? I hope this isn't too chatty. Okay, so again, I'm just making my pocket as I always do. Now let's bring out the cuteness, and we have these puppies, okay? Now this is something I've already been doing a couple layouts from this grouping, but this is a grouping that I have, and this is my brother sends me puppy photos all the time, or from around his farm or ranch. He's always sending me photos. So what, instead of just having a pocket all the time for different for the months or for different days or different photos, what I do is I just put, and I put my little brother's name, okay, and then I just put puppies, okay, and then what I do is I just put 2019. Okay, so this is what I call a revolving pocket, because every time I come across a photo that I print in 2019 of these puppies, or sometimes I'll have a pocket and it'll just be of him and his farm life. What he does, because he's just so busy, I will have a pocket just for him, okay? And then as I print and as I get these random photos, these are just random photos from the year, I will print them, and now I have a place to put them, okay? And so then when I want to work on a layout regarding this topic, I just pull out this pocket. It doesn't matter if this is from March or if this is from June, it's just from the year. Sometimes I will even mix years, okay? And you'll see that coming up, okay? So again, my wallets don't get lost, and then also too, I have a placeholder for all of these random photos that have to do with this topic of puppies. Does that make sense? So this could be the type of pocket you use for selfies. This is the type of pocket you could use if you have a relative who just sends you random photos, but yet you want to keep them, but yet you don't know where to put them, and you don't want to create a divider or a pocket for every one of those single random photos. Create a pocket and then just add to it as the month goes on, or as the year goes on. Okay, so and now let's talk about another one here. Okay, so this is going to be a layout. Okay, and this is how I'm going to show you how the workflow goes. Okay, making a pocket. Okay, so what this is going to be about my little one, and she makes a mean mushroom risotto. I mean, this girl has this signature dish down. That is her signature dish, is mushroom risotto. Okay, so I always use her name, but I don't write it on film. And then I will just put mushroom risotto, okay? And the reason I'm talking about this is because this has been another one of these pockets of things have been added to, okay? And I'm just going to put 2019 because I always put a date, okay? But the date's on the back, okay? So then what this is that every so often, whenever she makes this dish, I will take a photo of it. And because this is going to be a 2-page, okay? And sometimes I will write that on my notes. This is going to be a 2-page layout. But in order to do this 2-page layout, I want it to be a compilation of this mushroom risotto and the different times she takes it and the different things about it. And so then as she's been making this, I've been taking photos of it, and then also too, she has been working on the recipe, and she even wrote this recipe up as part of her technical writing class a year or so ago. So I put that in there, and then I want to make sure I include a selfie, so I'm making that note, okay? And then also too, I want to include the original recipe. So again, I'm making another note, recipe. Okay, so you see how I created this pocket, but it's basically a work in progress, and it's a place to hold these photos as this is happening. So as this mushroom risotto keeps getting made, and as she's working on the recipe, and as she's using it as for technical writing in her one college class, and as I'm planning this 2-page layout, I'm using this as a placeholder and also to a place to put my notes and my thoughts. Okay, no more random post-it notes floating here, no more lost photos. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So I will put all these photos in here. Again, my wallets will not get lost. Folding over that. And then I'm going to put this in a certain place in my ready to scrap box. So let's talk about that. Okay. And again, I hope this isn't too chatty, but I know this is the type of video I would want to see. If this was something that I was struggling with back in the day, this is something I did look for. I did look for videos that showed people to actually sit down and sort photos. What was the thought process behind that? I don't want to just put them in with a 4x6 card with a date. That's not enough for, as scrapbookers, that's not enough. Okay, so then here's my ready to scrap box. So what do we have? Okay, well here we have the Wilmington. That's ready to go. We have IKEA, that's ready to go, and then we have, let's see, some other ones. Dad, those outdoor photos are ready to go. Easter, that's ready to go. So then with my revolving pockets, okay, the ones I keep adding to, I put them in a little place, okay? And I always have something here to divide, okay? It's usually a piece of colored cardstock, just a scrap that I cut in like basically a 5x6, something like that. So I can see where something starts and where something ends, but this is just what I'm going to use for now. Okay, I wonder if I had a post-it note so you could see where I was working. I don't think I do. I don't try to use Post-it notes anymore. Can you believe that? Okay, so I'll put this red doily here just so you can see where I'm talking. Okay, how's that? So behind this red doily here, all of these are ready to go. I just grab a pocket, I'm ready to scrap. Okay, but then these are also ready to go, but these are also ones I'm adding to throughout the year. The puppies and this mushroom risotto layout I have planned and these selfies, okay? So then what I do is I put these in the front of my ready to scrap box, okay? So then when I know, okay, my brother sent me a puppy photo this week, I print it, I know where it goes. My little one sent me a selfie, I'm printing it. That's where all these little random, you know, we get random photos every single week. Creating a revolving pocket for these random photos and then keeping that in the front, you know you're going to keep adding to it. That way you don't have to look through the back. So where this red doily is here, I'll just fold that over. Then it signals to my brain that all of these here, these are ready to go. I can just pull that pocket and I'm ready to scrap. That's why this is called an RTS or a ready to scrap box, okay? Has nothing to do with this channel. That's just what it's been called. I just call mine scrap. Yeah, I'm ready to scrap these photos, okay? So then what happens is then I'm going to keep working. If you want to be done with that, that's fine. But I'm going to keep on talking through the rest of this pile because I got asked different ways, okay? So basically when it comes down to, if you know your group of photos is complete, make a pocket, give it a date. If you have a title idea, if you need to reprint something, if you have memorabilia, put all of those notes on this pocket, okay? And that way you know, okay? But then if you have those random photos, create these revolving pockets, put them in the front of your box, okay? Have a little bit of a color divider there, and then you'll know that, okay, yes, I got a puppy photo, I got a selfie photo, okay? We're going to talk about more, okay? So that is our work in progress so far. So if you want to hang on a little bit more, we'll just keep on working through this stack of photos, okay? So hold on. Okay, so let's talk about sorting some more photos if you're interested in seeing that. And then also, too, if you have any questions, please list below because we can have an ongoing conversation about that. So, okay, I have another group of photos here. Now, this is selfies. And this isn't something I'm going to be adding to, but this is something I'm going to be taking from. Now, what does that mean? So I'm simply going to call this, and of course, I would have my little girl's name, and I would put so-and-so and me selfies, okay? And I'm going to put March 2019, but it wasn't. This was 2016. Okay, and so then what it is this is a group of selfies, but it's basically just me and her at the same day because we were at a restaurant and my husband got a phone call. And when he gets a phone call, it could be 10 minutes or 10 hours. You don't know. So we entertained ourselves by taking all these fun selfies. So I printed every one of these that I liked, and I will keep this as the selfies, and it's going to go back in my, you know, at the end of my box. Am I ready to scrap? And then I will just pull these photos when I need a photo to go with a story, okay? This really isn't a story or a layout that I want to do. I would not do a layout with all of these selfies, okay? Because it's basically the same thing. However, I will use these selfies in different stories as the year or next year as that happens. And so I would just put this in here, fold that over, okay? And so then that is a group of selfies, but then this is something that is complete, but I will just keep, whenever I want a photo of her and I together to tell a story or to add to a story, I will just pull from that. So that's ready to go. So selfies isn't something I always add to. You know what I mean? Okay, so here we have another one. This is something I came across as I was working on another page, and it's something I wanted to do. It's another selfie, but it's one of those animated selfies. But I came across this quote, and it says, "I'm home when I'm by your side." And so this is a layout I want to do. So, of course, I'm going to create a pocket. Because when you're creating a pocket, it doesn't just have to be for photos you just printed. It also can be for layouts you want to do, okay? So, again, this is just basically a workflow. So I will put on here you know, a selfie, okay, and I'll put so-and-so and me, and I'll put March 2019, and then I'm going to put quote. I'll put my quote here, okay, because I have a quote, okay, and then my note is to reprint in a 4x6, okay. So for this here, this is not ready to go, but I know what I need to do, okay. So there is a layout in the progress. Does that make sense? Okay, so there we go for that. And then what do we have now? This is another group of photos. Making another pocket. Yes, game changer. Okay. So this is going to be a layout about my little one entering the workforce and her internship and all that good stuff in college. So I'm going to absolutely put the title that I want, and it's going to be called Working Girl. Okay? Oh, spell it right. And then March 2019, not the right day, but you know what I'm talking about. And I will put every photo, and I have a couple more that's floating around. And so I will put this in here. Again, that is my layout. Okay, very, very fun. So now what do you do with all of these photos that you take around your home? We have all these random photos, and that's basically what this is when you're printing your photos for the month. You may have a trip, you may have a holiday, but then what do you do with all these other random photos? Okay, what I do is make story connections, and this right here, this Working Girl, that is one of those where these are random photos, but then I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a story developing there. You know, she sent me a picture of her preparing her lunch and how she felt when it was Monday morning, and then what she has to do for prep on Sunday night. So this is these random photos that develop to tell a story. So this is pictures of my apple. Is it cherry? It's a crab apple. It's a crab apple tree in my front yard. And so then every so often we will snap the pictures when it starts to get in bloom. I mean, isn't that pretty? Just pretty. Epson PictureMate is where it's at, I'm telling you. And so then what you can do is you can absolutely create a pocket. Okay, and it can be a revolving pocket, and you could literally label this Home 2019. I mean, how easy is that to create a home, a placeholder for all these random photos? So, you know, sometimes we do home improvements, and not everything needs a 2-page layout. Not everything needs a layout, but sometimes you can take these photos and take, you know, an assortment of them through the year and create a 2-page. And so that is what I do, is that these are just of the front tree. Now, this would be nice to do, you know, a 2-page layout, but I really don't need 4 photos of the same. So I will just put Home 2019, stick that in there, and then when I have other photos of my home for the year that are just random, I will put them in this pocket, and then I will create a 2-page layout for that. That is how to decrease the number of pages you do as well. Okay, let's go to the next pile. Again, more selfies. Okay, so again, I would just create a pocket. I won't have to physically create one, but I would just create a pocket, and I would put selfies. And then sometimes for my little one, she sends me photos all the time. I'm very blessed about that. So I basically do selfies for every month of the year because she sends me so many. Okay, so selfies. Okay, again, more selfies. Okay, so you could do a selfie pocket, and I don't know if I talked about this. I've had to do this a couple times. You could do a selfie pocket or these random photos for everyone in your family. You could have one for mom, you could have one for dad, you could have one for grandpap, you could have one for Johnny, and you could have one for Susie, and then you could have one for your fur babies. Okay, and that is where you put all these random photos you take throughout the month and throughout the year, but yet that one photo of your puppy and then that one photo of grandpa, where do you put that in when you're sorting photos? If you create a pocket, okay? And you literally, if you're not someone who takes a lot of photos, you could just create one pocket and just put random photos or everyday photos. You could simply do it that way. But for a lot of us as scrapbookers, we take a lot of photos because that's our main gig. So you could absolutely have a placeholder for all those random photos for Johnny, one for Susie, one for grandma, one for dad, one for mom, one for your fur babies, all of that, okay? And then just keep that in the front of your ready to scrap box, and then you just keep adding to it as the year goes on. Okay, now that doesn't mean you have to wait till the year's ended before you play with those photos. It's just that you know you can keep adding to it. And then say you wanted to do a 2-page layout about Johnny and his personality. His birthday's coming up, so you just pull out that selfie or random pocket that has those photos, and you play with those. Okay, that's how you can do a lot of in review pages. I love that. Love that. Okay. And we'll talk about leftovers in another video coming up. So again, more selfies. You can do it per month. You can do it per year. You can do it per person. Yes, absolutely. Okay, now here's another one. Now this is random photos, and this is something that a lot of us do is we take photos of scrapbooking. because this is our hobby, and I encourage you to do that. Do a layout as to why you scrapbook and what it means to you, but then also to take photos of your process and your progress as you go through in this journey. And so then what I do, and I have a pocket here, and this I do one for each year, and for it'll say 2017 scrap, 2018 scrap, and it's just photos of cameras and photos and organization, all that stuff, anything to do with scrapbooking. Okay, that's another way to do that. And what's another pile I have here? Okay, so then this would be as if you had, you know, your kids' events. You went to the museum, you went to the park. This was a day at AC Moore where the kids, and then we took them to Chuck E. Cheese. It was a craft fair, kids' day at Michael's. And so then you would make a pocket and you would say what the event is. You could even include who all went, other events you did. And this is good when you're printing photos and you think of something, but maybe you don't have a photo. I really don't have a photo of us at Chuck E. Cheese, but I remember we did that. You could just write all of your notes on this pocket. So then when you go to pull this pocket to scrap, you don't have to go find a notebook. You don't have to go find a post-it note. Where did you have that note? Where's my calendar? Yada, yada, yada. Everything's right here. Okay, so that's another way you could do that. Let's see. Okay, here is another revolving pocket, and this is what I was talking about. Okay, so this is about my brother and his everything that he does, his farm, his ranch, his breeding, everything he does. Okay, and so then when he sends me selfies, okay, I print them. Sometimes I'll print them in black and white, sometimes I'll print them in color. Anything that has to do with him and his farm life. And I have a page that I want to do, and it's basically based around Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Okay, so anytime he sends me farm or ranch photos, I put them in a pocket. And so this is just labeled. This will be labeled whatever the year is that it is. We'll say it's 2019, and then I will just keep adding these photos that he sends to me every so often. And so again, this is a layout in progress. It's a revolving pocket as those random photos come, and then every so often you can say, oh man, I have enough photos for a layout. Okay, and then also too, when I do the load event, okay, a lot of people have asked me, where do I get the photos to do the load event? And I'll have information listed below about what the load event is, but it's basically a story based or technique based or both type of event. And so I like it because it's a lot of stories. And so when I have pockets that have everyday photos, random photos, or a revolving pocket where it has a lot of photos from different years or different months, that's where I can pull these photos from. Okay, because they're all right here in the front of my box. Okay, so if I had a story I wanted to tell, but I didn't really have a photo, I could go to selfies. I had some puppies, you know, that's what I'm saying. These pockets that you just keep adding these random everyday photos, that is something that really helped me, because what it used to be is that I would have a ton of these index cards, and I would have one photo with an index card, and it would say the kitchen, March 2019, or the front yard, March 2019, or we were in the car. You know what I'm saying? All those single random photos can absolutely be grouped together in a pocket, and then you can play with that pocket as a page. I hope that makes sense. So I think that is what I have to show for this sorting photos segment. So it's basically creating pockets using a very cost-effective envelope, keeping all of your information that you need on this pocket so you don't have to remember, it's ready to go. And then also to having a placeholder for when you get those random photos, or you just have one photo but you want to group it together with something else down the road. That is the place to do it. So I know for me, when I have this, I'm trying to look at my actual ready to scrap box. I'm looking at what I have, is that like I have remember I showed you this one for home. I have one for home. I have one for my scrapbooking. Of course, selfies is a big thing. And then also too, whenever there's a photo of it's all three of us in my little family, I will keep a certain pocket or a special pocket just for that, and I label it us, and I put the year. And then I do, instead of just scrapbooking that one photo of us, that's all three of us, because I don't get a lot of them, I wait till I have 4 or 5 of them, and then that's when I do a 2-page layout of those photos, if that makes sense. So it just gives you a placeholder. It has really helped me find a place for these random photos, or also to a place to have photos for when I have a story I want to tell but I don't have a photo. You can always pair a selfie for a photo. That's always perfect. And then also too, when you know that you have photos that's coming throughout the year and it's basically the same topic, so whether it's about goats or puppies or scrapbooking, you have now a place to put them. I hope all of that makes sense. If you have any questions, please list below. And again, it's just more work when it comes to our photos. We printed them, we have to date them, now we got to sort them, and then as I'm sorting, I'm kind of putting these together in how I want to scrapbook them. Whether you see in the back here behind this red doily, these are all basically grouped together how I want to do this, and then these are grouped together by topic, so if I want to do a layout using these photos, I know where to go. I hope that makes sense. And of course, you know, you have it labeled scrap, ready to go, grab and go, just makes you happy go. Yes, absolutely. So that is all I'm going to have for this sorting photos on the everyday. The next video, we will absolutely be talking about how to do a trip. Okay, how to do that. It's basically the same setup, but we're going to talk about that. And then the next one we'll be talking about leftovers, because I got a lot of questions about leftovers and I have a thing for that too. Yes, okay. So that is all I have for today. Come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to do. Bye.